All right, guys, let's see. We have got to do a little bit of reviewing and extension, okay, on some work with perimeters and areas of some basic geometric shapes. Okay, so right here we have a rectangle, a square, a triangle. Okay, and usually in a rectangle we will call one pair of opposite sides a length and the other pair of opposite sides a width. Okay, sometimes rather than length and width, they will use a base, okay, for one pair of opposite sides and a height for the other, okay? So when you do perimeter, it's 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Sometimes we will also write that as 2 times the base plus 2 times the height, okay? It means the same thing, okay? And then area would be length times width. So sometimes if they don't call it length and width, they call them base and height. We'll say base times height, like that. Okay, a square is a type of rectangle. So technically all 4 sides are the same. So you could, 2 times the side plus 2 times the side. Okay, so basically that's just 4 times the length of one side. And a lot of times we'll just call that side length S. So a perimeter will be 4 times S because all 4 sides are congruent. And then area, okay, well, it's a rectangle, so it'd be like base times height or length times width. So it'd be S times S, so a lot of times you see S squared. Okay, perimeter of a triangle. There's not really a good formula to use for perimeter. Okay, you just have to add up the 3 sides. So if I say, okay, the 3 sides are A, B, and C, I would just have to add them up to get the perimeter. Okay, but the area does have a really important formula. Okay, the area is always 1/2 times the base, which a lot of times is like this bottom, okay, side, times the height, where we measure the height would be the distance from the base up to the highest vertex. Okay, so 1/2 times the base times the height. Okay, then we have one more figure called a parallelogram. Okay, now a parallelogram it's kind of similar to a rectangle, but it's not the same thing as a rectangle. Okay, because it's like we took a rectangle and sort of twisted it a little bit. Okay, so a lot of times we'll still call the bottom and the top, we'll call it either a length or a base. Okay, and then this width, okay, would sort of be this slanted, the right side and the left side. Okay, so the perimeter is still 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, and sometimes they might use base rather than length. Okay, so same thing. Okay, and then the area now is length times height. Okay, you can't use this side because it's slanted for the height, so this height would be measured inside, the distance from the bottom to the top. Okay, so sometimes you'll see length times height or base times height. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at some of these problems. Okay, so let's see. First thing, we know it's a square. Okay, so we know that all 4 sides have the exact same measure. Okay, and it wants me to find the perimeter and the area. Okay, now perimeter, okay, we always measure perimeter in linear units. Okay, so for instance, that could be, for instance, inches, feet, okay, centimeters, yards, and so on. Area, on the other hand, is measured in squared units. Okay, so squared units. Okay, so it might be inches squared, feet squared, centimeters squared, and so on, which you guys have seen that before. Okay, so let's do perimeter first. Okay, so we go back here. The perimeter for a square would just be 4 times the length of a side. Okay, so I would say 4 times the length of a side, which is 11x plus 4. And it's perimeter, so it's linear units, so it's just in yards. Okay, so all I got to do is just distribute the 4. That's it. Okay, so 4 times 11x is 44x. 4 times 4 is 16. And we want the unit yards to apply to all of it, so we put it inside parentheses and we say yards. okay? And then you can't go any further because those aren't similar. So there's nothing else we can do. Okay, so area of a square. Area is side squared, okay? So I would have the length of a side squared, so that'd be 11x plus 4 squared. And we know that we're going to be in squared units, so that'd be square yards. Okay, so when we square, notice 11x plus 4 has two terms, so it's a binomial. We square a binomial, or any number for that matter, we multiply it by itself. So this would be 11x plus 4 times 11x plus 4, and then our unit of measurement will be square yards. Okay, so binomial times binomial, this is FOIL method. Okay, so I go first times first, 11x times 11x. That's 121x squared. Outside, 11x times 4. That's 44x. Inside, 4 times 11x. That's 44x. And then last times last would be 4 times 4, so that's 16 square yards. And then we can collect similar terms. Okay, so we get 121x squared. 44x plus 44x is 88x. Bring down the plus 16, and all the similar terms are collected, so we're done. And we want the square yards to apply to everything, so we put it inside parentheses. Okay, and we're done. Okay, let's try another one of those guys. Another square. Okay, so we know that all four sides are congruent. It wants perimeter and it wants area. Okay, so let's see, perimeter, going back to our sheet right here, that would be 4 times the length of a side for the perimeter. So this would be 4 times 8x minus 3. Okay, and perimeter is in linear units, so it's just inches. Okay, so all I have to do is just distribute the 4 here. That's it. Okay, 4 times 8x is 32x. 4 times negative 3 would be negative 12. There are no similar terms, so I can't do anything with it. I want my inches to apply to everything, so I put it inside parentheses. And we're done. Okay, then we do area. And going back here, area of a square is side squared. Okay, so that would be 8x minus 3 squared. And it's area, so it's squared units, so it'd be square inches. Okay, so again, when you square a number, you multiply it by itself. So that would be 8x minus 3 times 8x minus 3, not x minus 3. 8x minus 3, and our units squared. Okay, so again, binomial times a binomial, so that's FOIL method. Okay, so first times first would be 8x times 8x. That's 64x squared. Outside would be 8x times negative 3. That's negative 24x. Inside would be negative 3 times 8x. That's negative 24x. And then last times last would be negative 3 times negative 3, so that's positive 9. And again, we want our inches squared to apply to all of it, so we put it inside parentheses. And then we just collect similar terms, there and there. Okay, so I get a 64x squared. Negative 24x plus negative 24x is negative 48x. Bring down your plus 9. Don't forget your parentheses, square inches. Okay, so we got that guy done. All right, now we come to a triangle. Okay, and notice this is a right triangle. That's really important. Okay, so we have the 3 sides. Okay, so we have everything we need for the perimeter. So let's get the perimeter out of the way first. Okay, so perimeter equals. All right, now remember, perimeter of a triangle, we just add the 3 lengths of the side. So it's just side plus side plus side. Okay, so I have to add these 3 side lengths all the way around. Okay, so I have a 7x minus 1/4 plus 5x plus 2/3 plus 10x plus 1/2. and it is perimeter, so it's linear units, so it's just in feet. Okay. All right, now, you're starting to get some fractions, and I know most of you probably aren't real good with fractions in your head. Most of the time, I'm okay with them. Sometimes I need a calculator, but that's why you need this guy. Okay, so we have 7x plus 5x, that's 12x, plus 10x, that's 22x. Okay, so that takes care of that guy, and that guy. So now I've got to take the negative 1/4, the 2/3, and the 1/2, and I got to add those together. So use your calculator. So we go negative 1/4 plus 2/3 plus 1/2, and you get, oh, I got something wrong. Punch something in there wrong. So negative 1/4 plus 2/3 plus 1/2. And I get 11/12, and that's positive. So it'd be plus 11/12. And if we look, we're done because these are not similar, so we can't keep going. So I want feet, which means I need my parentheses around that to make sure that feet is attached to all of it. Okay, so area. All right, now going back here, remember area is 1/2 times the base times the height. Okay, so we have 1/2 times the base times the height. Now this is really important. Okay, in a right triangle, and this only happens in a right triangle. Okay, the base and the height, okay, are what we call the two legs. Okay, in any right triangle, you have two legs, and they're the sides that always come together to form the right angle. So this is a leg right here, and this is a leg right here. Okay, this guy is the guy that's not the leg is called the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. Okay, so we have to go 1/2 times leg times leg. Okay, so we have 1/2 times leg, 5x plus 2/3 times the other leg, which would be 7x minus 1/4. Now it's area, so it's squared units, so that'd be feet squared. All right, now you take a look at this, and notice I have binomial times a binomial, so that's FOIL method. Okay, so I'm gonna have to use the FOIL method on these two, and then once I'm done, I gotta distribute a 1/2. Okay, so let's see what we get. Here's the 1/2. Okay, so if I go 5x times 7x, that's 35x squared. And if I go outside times outside, so 5x times negative 1/4 would be negative 5/4 x. Now you see how I leave that as an improper fraction. Variables like fractions. They don't like mixed numbers. So I would not write that as negative 1 1/4. I wouldn't. I'd leave it as negative 5/4. Okay, then we go inside times inside. So 2/3 times 7x. That will give me a positive 14/3 x. Again, leave it as an improper fraction. Don't rewrite it as a mixed number. Then I go last times last. So 2/3 times negative 1/4. And again, if you need a calculator, use a calculator. That would give me a negative 2/12, which reduces down to a negative 1/6. And that's square feet. All right, now I have to collect similar terms. And notice this guy and this guy are similar terms. So I have 1/2 times a quantity of 35x squared. And I'm going to use a calculator, and I'm going to punch this in. So remember, that 5/4 is negative, so it'd be negative 5/4 plus 14/3, and we get 3 5/12. But that's a mixed number, and fractions don't like mixed numbers, so change it to an improper fraction. So if I go second ABC, it changes it for me, and I get 41/12. So it'd be a positive 41/12 x, and then bring down the minus 1/6. Minus 1/6. And we have square feet. Okay, so we did the FOIL method and collected similar terms. Now I got to distribute to 1/2. Okay, so 1/2 times 35 x squared would be 35 halves x squared. And notice I leave it as a fraction. I don't want it to be a mixed number. Okay, plus 1/2 times 41/12 will give me 41/24 and bring the x. And again, leave it as a fraction. Variables like fractions, they don't like mixed numbers. And then if we go 1/2 times a -1/6, I get a -1/12. And we're in square feet. And we're done, okay? So we're good on that guy. Okay, let's look at a triangle that's not a right triangle. Okay, so right here, we don't have a right triangle. So notice we have a side here, we have a side here, and we have a side here. Okay, so we can do perimeter the way it is. Okay, so the perimeter, I just add up the three sides. So I've got my x plus 6, I've got my x plus 3, and I've got my x plus 4. We just add all those guys together. And remember, perimeter is linear units, so it's just inches. So all we have to do is just collect similar terms. So x plus x plus x is 3x. And then 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 4 is 13. So I just get 3x plus 13 inches. Okay, now we do area. And remember, area is 1/2 times the base times the height. So see this guy going across this dotted line. See how it comes from this vertex, goes across, and hits this guy in a right angle. This is your height right here. So if that's your height, this guy has to be your base right here. Okay? The height and the base are always perpendicular to each other. So I have to use this guy for my height and this guy for my base. Okay, so let's see. So we have 1/2 times the base, which is x plus 4, times the height, which is 3x squared. And it's this whole thing with squared units, so it'd be squared inches. Now I look at that guy, and I'm going to distribute the 3x squared first. So I got to multiply everything by 3x squared, and then when I'm done there, I got to distribute the 1/2. Okay, here and here. Okay, so let's see what we get. So I get the 1/2 out front, and when I go 3x squared times x, I get 3x cubed. And when I go 3x squared times 4, I get 12x squared. And that's square inches. All right, now I got to distribute the 1/2. So 1/2 times 3. And again, if you need this guy, use this guy. I don't need it, but you might. So 1/2 times 3 would be 3/2. So 3/2 x cubed. And notice how I leave it as a fraction. Variables like fractions. They don't want mixed numbers. And then we go 1/2 times 12x squared, but 1/2 times 12 is 6. So I get 6x squared. And then we put our parentheses, and we have our squared inches. Okay, and we are done with the first video.